Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashables. So for my first Memorydex card of the year, I thought I'd use the gorgeous Northern Lights collection from Planners Anonymous. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so I want to do a Memorydex card using the absolutely gorgeous Northern Lights kit from Planners Anonymous, but I want to modify this a little bit. So I'm a little nervous that I'm going to mess this up, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. So I've got this template of one of the dies. I've got all of the dies for the Memorydex, but I want to make it just a little bit taller, which I haven't done before. haven't modified this at all, but I'm interested to give it a go. So what I'm going to do, I know I want it to sit about there. I just don't want to draw on that side, so I'm just going to hold this up to the light. Just get a little bit of a mark so that I can spin it over and get it roughly in the right spot. So I'm just going to trace around the bottom of this. Now the hard part is going to be getting around those sort of Memorydex little bits, but I think it'll be fine. I think I'll work out, like, you should be able to do it with your craft knife. It shouldn't be too complicated. So I'm just going to go around this, and I'm just going to stop just sort of here-ish, because that's where I'm going to sort of make it a little bit taller. So I'm not going to make it a lot taller, but I'm just going to make it a little bit taller. And then once I've decided where I want it to go, I'm going to go the rest of the way. So it's going to be that much. That might be a little much. Maybe we go there instead. So I'm just going to grab just trace around that bit. So we'll just do to the second one. So I'm going to cut out the main shape with my trimmer so that I keep the lines straight. But then I'm going to go ahead and do the round bit with my scissors. And I think I'm going to have to do this with my craft knife. So we'll just work that out. Just to help me get the line straight, I'm just going to grab my ruler in and just extend this to the end of the page. That way I can line it up and make sure that I've got it right. Once you've got one straight line, you can use that to get the rest of the straight lines. Just line that up there. There we go. And then that one should be straight, so when I go, I'm just going to help myself out a little bit and just cut this off at the top. And I'm not going to throw this away because I'm going to use that. As you would have seen, I've used that page already on another project, which you guys will get a look at if you haven't already on Instagram. So just stay tuned for that. But I just love this kit. It's adorable. And I'm taking a lot of inspiration today from a gorgeous card made by Rhoda Scraps, who's one of the other stylists for Planners Anonymous. So if you haven't seen her stuff, oh my god, you so need to follow her. She's just amazing. Just amazing what she does. It's just, oh, so good. So I'm just lining those up. And then we'll cut off all around the round bits. So I'll start off at the bottom and just do those. We'll rub off anything that's extra afterwards as well. And then we're just going to go up and around this one. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, just using it as a guide. There we go. So she's cut out to the size that we want it. Now what I want to do is have this as a, now I'm going to do it afterwards so that way I can cut it all in one bit. So I've got the little notches there ready to go. But I want to have this with some acetate. Now the acetate is something that I absolutely love but don't use as often as I should. So I really want to use it. And like I said, Rhoda's card was just stunning. So I'm very inspired by what she did. So what I'm going to do is have it so that this folds up. And that way you've got this sort of bit covering it up, which is going to hold it and then flip. And then you can have a quote on the bottom. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to put something on the bottom or not. Or if it's just going to be all acetate. So what I need to do is get the bit that's going to stick and then flip. So I'm just trying to line this up so it still has the same kind of gradient of colour. It's not going to be perfect because obviously we've played with it, but get to about there. Okay, and then just trace around this one because this is where we're going to cut this one out as well. So just going to cut that one out. So I'm just sticking as close to to this as I can, knowing that I can always cut off a little bit more if I need to. So I'm just trying to stay on the outside of the line as opposed to the inside of the line or on the line, because you can always cut off more, but you can't always add more on, or you can never add more on. So that'll be, it'll sort of stick on here. Oh, that's actually pretty damn good. Well done, me. That'll stay on there, and that's where we'll attach the acetate, and we'll have it sort of so there's a score line here, so it'll fold up. So to do the score line, I'm just getting in a mat and my ruler and my scoring tool. So I'm just going to grab this little one. So there just so happens to be a bit of an obvious kind of notch. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to make sure that this does sort of line up where I want it to, and it doesn't quite. I didn't think it did. I'm just thinking, do I worry about it now or do I worry about it later? No, I'll worry about it now. So I'm going to grab one of my little Hobby Hoppers clips. I'm just going to use that just to hold this temporarily in place. I don't want to use any washi tape in case I pull off any of the colour. So I'm just going to hold these in place using the clips. Okay. I'm just going to fix up this edge because it's really only this side. It just didn't look like the same shape, so I just want to fix that up. There we go. That's better. And then we can add this score line. So line this up just along here. Now the score line just needs to be on there somewhere. So I'm going to do it just along this 1 centimetre line. I'm just using my mat to guide me here. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to have enough that we've got some to adhere to this and then some to adhere to the acetate. Okay, so moving on to the acetate. This is the fun part where we get to get rid of Jet's hair. Work out where we want to put it. So I think it's there. And this one we are going to stick. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of washi tape. Because the best way to be able to get around this, like you can trace acetate obviously using like a whiteboard marker or something similar. But I always find that it just kind of, you never get the right shape anyway. So this sort of just works a little bit easier. So I'm just going to stick that down like that. And grab my trimmer back in just to cut off any excess, just so we don't waste any. And then we're just going to cut around the shape. Now I always find it's easier with the darker side, so I'm just going to use that, and I'm just going really, really slowly, and you just go straight over the washi when you get to it. Come on. Okay. And then just to hold that still again, just going to grab the washi again, just making sure that's in the right spot, and then continue along. And that's not too bad. It's enough, it's close enough that you won't notice. All right, so just take that off. Then we need to get in the little bit that we cut off. And this is where we're going to stick them together. So first of all, we're going to fold this over. So just using that score line that I've made in it before. And just fold that over. So it'll stick on like that. I'm just going to cut off. So I've wasted a little bit, but that's all right. Because you really only need it to be up to the line. So I'm just going to grab a bit of washi tape and just hold this still. So I'm actually sticking it to my mat so that both things are stuck together. Just grabbing a permanent marker and my ruler. just going to make a line just above where I need to stick this. Actually, I'm just going to do it just below where I need to stick it. And then the acetate's going to get cut right there. So it'll stick right on there. I'm just double checking myself before I do it. So I'll line that up. Just cut that right on the line using the trimmer. Go. And then just using some glue. Actually, I'm going to use double-sided tape for this one just because I do want it to be a little bit stronger. My double-sided tape is a little too wide, so I'm just going to trim off the excess. So I'm just going to stick that down on here and then just trim off anywhere that it sits over the top. I really need to get myself some skinnier double-sided tape. I just don't use it quite as often, so I feel like I'm being a bit wasteful. But anyway, so I'll just peel that off and then make sure we've got this the right way and just attach that on there. Just trying to make sure it's straight. Oops. And there we've got the little sort of flap up window. Anywhere where it's a bit oversized, you can just trim it off. This one's just a little oversized here. Okay. And then we're grabbing this beauty. Now I think, oh my God, it is so good. I'm so proud of myself right now. Sorry. I think I'm going to put some washi tape on the top there just to kind of disguise that line a little bit. But I'm just going to use some more of the double-sided tape just because I've already got it out. And then stick that down. So just lining that up again. Now a little bit of liquid glue wouldn't be bad here either, because that way you've got full control on where you put it. But I actually find the double-sided not too bad. And then anywhere that you feel like you've got too much, so either the back sticking up or the bottom sticking down, you can just trim that off so that it looks a bit more flush. Now I've only got like the tinsiest bit on the top here and I'm being really picky with it, so. And I'm gonna leave, no I'm not. I was gonna leave the bottom, but I won't, I'll fix it. Just going around that edge. It's seriously like 2 mil. It's barely worth doing this, but now you notice I've still got that washi tape on the back. I'll get rid of that in just a sec, but we are going to use a bit more tape just to stick this down while we cut out the notches. I'm just trying to decide. So there we go, that's the basis of it, and it just flips up like that, so it's got that kind of overlay look, which just looks so pretty. Now I'm just trying to decide if I want to put something else on the top. I'm really tempted to put some mountains or put like a tree die cut, because you've got these trees here. Oh, that looks really stunning on the front. When you sort of line it up with the ones on the back, that would look really nice there, and that way it's kind of got like a two layered kind of effect. Oh, she's tempting. And then like maybe a quote on the top with from the stickers. Yeah, and I think I'm going that way. I am still really tempted by the mountains in here though. No, I'm gonna do it this way. So I'll have that there. Now the only downside to that is I'm gonna have to stick that down before I cut out my little notches. And then obviously when you get on the inside, I just need to work out what I'm going to put in here. Although, because I really think too, the little, and he'd look really cute if you had him on the inside, so you flipped it up. Oh, that's too cute. Righto, we're doing that. So I'm going to put the trees down first. And again, I'm just using the double-sided tape because it's here. Need to learn to cut just a little bit less of it off though. Now the downside to this is obviously going to be that when you lift up the flap, you are going to see the back of this because obviously you're going through the acetate. There are ways you can obviously hide that. Oh. I'm having a thought. Okay, I'm going to be tricky. I'm just going to remove this double-sided tape, which is actually really easy to do. You just roll it. So I'm just going to get rid of this because I just want to be tricky. I just want to be tricky because this is just, it's too pretty to not. It's just too pretty to not. So I'm going to get, I'm going to grab my template. Now I need a bottom. Okay, what have I got? This is when we jump back into the kit for a second and just double check what papers we've got. And I'm going to do it quick because otherwise I could seriously be here forever just doing this. So I'm just going to grab the mountains in here. I just want to see if this even works. So very similar to the way that I did my weekly planner, what I think I want to do is just use the dark here and just make a strip of the mountains along here. And then I'm not going to colour them, I don't think. I think I'll just leave them the way they are. But I need to use a slightly lighter ink. And the lightest one I've got is pumice stone, but I have a feeling that's going to be too light. So I'm just going to... Yeah, no, way too light. So I'm just grabbing... This is Black Soot Distress ink, which is just a little bit different to the oxides. The oxides have got pigment in them as well. I'm just going to see what it looks like on my template first. I have plenty of this. If I mess it up, I can always get some more. So I'm just going to stamp that along the top here and then just join it up. So this side will do the same thing. So it'll look like one big range of mountains. Because of the way these are... Oh, no, it's right, it'll be fine. Because of the way these are drawn, they are very conducive to being able to do that. So I'm just going to cut out the top. Whoops. So I'm just going to do this really quickly, but still being pretty careful with it. So I'm just going to line everything up where I want it. Where'd my trees go? Oh, thank you. So I'm just going to grab the trees. So it'll be hidden behind the mountains anyway, so that's where we'll put the glue. So we'll put the mountains sitting there. Grabbing a piece of washi tape just to hold that on. A little bit more washi tape than that's probably a good idea because that's really flimsy. Sit there like that. I'm just going to attach all of that together. And then we'll put, actually we'll build it on here first, so stick that down. I'm going to use my glue tape for this just because it is a little bit easier with such a small little bit. Yeah, you are still going to see the dots on the other side. I kind of realised that halfway through, but I think it's okay. You're not really going to be looking at the top anyway. So I will line this up. And then with the trees, that I'm just going to put just a thin line at the bottom and just attach it that way. So it actually has no glue up the top, it's just at the bottom. So when you do flip that up, yes, you can see the glue dots here, but there aren't any behind the trees. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, so we need to wrap this up because I've been going for a very, very long time. Where are my stickers? So I do want to have the little polar bear sitting in here. So he's going to hide not behind it. Actually, I really need to do the notches first, don't I? And that way I can work around those. So this is going to be the hardest part of all. I'm going to get some more of that washi. just going to take a little bit of the tack off just by rubbing it off on my clothes, just so I don't rip anything or tear anything. So stick it on both sides of the acetate first, and then we'll pull it up and flip it over. Now I'm going to do this all with a craft knife. It doesn't have to be, oh that's really bad. Oh, I need to fix that first. There we go, that's better. It doesn't have to be 100% like exactly the right shape. It just has to be enough to go in the notches. So I'm just freehanding it just because it's a bit easier. But I'm pushing really hard. You might be able to see that through how much the knife is shaking. Now the downside is I didn't go through every layer. I only went through one of them. So just coming back in again and just doing that again. You're not really going to look at the dots, like the notches, I don't think. So it'll be fine if they're not 100%. And do the same thing on this side. If you find it easier to do like straight lines instead of the little curved lines, you can just work on like a triangle shape. So we're going to put the little polar bear hiding behind the trees, and I'm just going to avoid the marks for that one. So he's going to sit right there in the middle. Oh, that's so cute. I love that polar bear so much. Sit right there like that, and I think I'm gonna have, if I can find the right quote from the stickers that's sitting right next to me, I want to have that so you can see it through. Now I'm just doing a bit of an annoying thing where I'm just going to hold this still and sort of close and open just so I make sure I get this in the right spot. I want to have it up like diagonally, so we'll have that. I knew I was going to put it in the wrong spot because I only just tacked that on. That'll come off without too much of a problem. So I'm just bringing it down a little bit lower because I want it to sit underneath that. There we go, it's nearly there. I want it to sit underneath that fold line. There we go. So it's got that shine like the night on there. And then put this little aurora behind it, or next to it, so that it kind of looks, there we go. And then just to add in just a little bit more something, I'm just going to grab a couple of these trees. I don't mind that they cross over each other actually. I refuse to get the undo out, but I'm just going to move this tree over just a little bit and then have those ones there. Make this into a little forest in here as well. Just really gives it lots of, and then I just want to grab, and I again don't know if this is going to work, so I'm just going to grab a bit of the scrap. Yes, just enough. So using my Tombow, so this is N89. Before I do that, I just want to fix this up. Okay. I'm just grabbing this and just giving just a little bit of shadow underneath the trees, which will make it look like it's actually kind of grounded. Well, I think it does, I don't know. It's probably a little bit too light to give you the real kind of shape of it, but it's just a little bit just to give it a little bit more depth. It doesn't have to be neat at all because you're not really going to see it. But it just makes it look a little bit like a ground, kind of. Just gonna add just this little line. And again, I'm just sort of taking from the kit anyway. The kit's got this kind of scratchy thing to it, so that actually doesn't look too horrible. Oh, I really like that. I really do. I like the interactivity, if that's a word, of being able to lift that up. But I love being able to use the acetate because I never use it. I always feel like it's too pretty to use, but it is absolutely stunning and I adore it. So I really need to use it more often. But I kind of like that there's that little hidden element of the polar bear behind that, and so it kind of gives it a bit of something extra. So that is my Memorydex card using the absolutely stunning Northern Lights collection. I know I've said it once before, but I'm going to say it again. It is just absolutely gorgeous. I don't mind actually that harsh line at the top. It doesn't bother me as much as I think I thought it was going to. You could obviously like have put the bit of acetate all the way to the top and kind of hidden the glue behind that. So you could have had it sitting, in a bad example now because we cut that sort of bit off, which is where it's sticking, but you could have added a little bit, another piece that looked like that to cover all the way up to the top. I just didn't feel like it needed it. It's very stark the way that it is, but it does hide the way it's glued in very, very well. I like the trees and I actually like the stamps on the back. I think it gives it a bit more depth. So let me know what you think. You can leave it down below, or you can find me on any of my social medias. As I've said before, these Memorydex cards are really just little bits of craft for me. They're not necessarily to remember anything. I can do them like that, but I just tend to use them as a little bit of crafty time to try and try some new techniques and bits and pieces. And I've never used acetate like this before, so I know I've learnt something, so I hope you have too. Thanks again so much to the amazing Rhoda Scraps for your inspiration for this one. I hope I've done your lovely, lovely cards some justice here. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!